Police officers in our area were arrested, accused of taking advantage of their position to pressure women into sex acts.
So what can someone do to prevent this type of abuse? Newswatch 16's Chelsea Strube went in search of answers. She's here now with more. Chelsea.
John and Julie, I spoke with lawyers to find out what is within someone's legal rights to protect themselves from police officers who are abusing their power. I also spoke with victims who tell me they wish they would have known what to do when they found themselves in that uncomfortable situation.
Fear, frustration, I panic, just constant panic.
That's how a victim of abuse describes her current mindset. For safety reasons, we're hiding her identity, and we altered the sound of her voice.
My day-to-day life is in shambles. I hide, I'm fearful. It's awful.
This woman, who we will call Susan, says the situation she found herself in was not very different from some other women in Luzerne County. The women who say they were the victims of these two men, Robert Collins and Mark Eicher. Both were police officers who were accused of sexually assaulting women during traffic stops. Susan says something similar happened to her.
We were always taught that the police are the good people. They're the ones that protect you. They help you. They make sure you're okay. Not in this situation.
Bill Ayers is the president of Pennsylvania Bikers for Justice. It's a social group that works with legislators to help protect victims of abuse of power.
They feel helpless. The victims are afraid of a retaliation by the law enforcement agencies.
So what can you do if you're being pulled over by a police officer but something doesn't feel right? Newswatch 16 sat down with lawyers defending the victims in the Collins and Eicher cases.
The legislature actually has built into the fleeing and eluding statute something called a personal safety defense.
So if you're being pulled over and the area is not well lit, not populated, if it's an unmarked car, or the officer is not in uniform or displaying a badge,
you don't have to stop if you don't feel safe. You have the right to get to an area where you feel safe and then comply with the law.
A safe place could be a well-lit area, a parking lot with witnesses, or the closest police station. You can also put on your four-way flashers or call 911 to let authorities know you're finding a safe place to pull over. And you have another option.
You have a First Amendment right as a citizen to record public interactions with police while they're performing their official duties.
There are a few ways lawyers suggest recording. You can use your cell phone camera, an app on your cell phone specifically designed for this type of situation, or you can rotate a dash camera to include you and the police officer over your shoulder.
You can't interfere with any investigations, but you have the right to record interactions with police, as long as the police know that you're recording and it's in a public place.
Lawyers suggest saying something to the officer along the lines of, "For my personal safety, I am recording this traffic stop." It's not only women that might feel uneasy during a traffic stop. Some men and those who don't speak English or other minorities may also feel intimidated. In some of those cases, the lawyers we spoke to suggest getting a translation app for your cell phone and carrying a notepad that says, "I do not speak English. I need to use my cell phone to translate our conversation."
You have the right to be understood in an interaction with a police officer, and you have the right to understand what's being said to you, and that's critical.
Lawyers point out that while the vast majority of traffic stops are legitimate, the rare exceptions are something to be mindful of.
If something is happening, do your best to prevent, do your best to record, and do your best to report.
My advice would be to make sure that if you file a report, you do it as soon as possible while all the facts are still fresh in your head, so that you don't forget anything.
Reports can be filed in person at a police station, online, or by phone. When making a report, you should have the name and badge number of the officer, vehicle plate or identification information, date, time, and location of the incident. Victims we spoke with hope everyone will take this information to heart to help prevent the trouble that has cost them so much.
I wish I knew that, I had the opportunity or the choice to drive to a police station or, have, the phone on or, anything that would have helped protect me.
Again, it is important to stress that these cases are rare, and the majority of traffic stops are legitimate. But it is also important to know how you can protect yourself if you do find yourself in that uncomfortable situation. If you would like to review any of this information again, you can find it and additional resources on WNEP.com. Chelsea Strube, Newswatch 16.
All right, Chelsea, thank you.
There are some sprinkles out there.